Hello, everyone, and welcome back to episode 5 of Building Regime with myself and Ellis. This is where we take you on a journey about building the brand regime and give you a real transparent look at everything and all to do with the brand. So, to start with today, we will go in depth on our R&D day. We finally got in there, finally tasted the product, which is great. I was really pleased on the day of how fresh and it tasted healthy. It tasted good for you, which is obviously what we want. But yeah, when we got back, the samples that we got, that we took home, I think it was kind of hard because they didn't come in individual serving sizes. We kind of had to weigh them out and stuff, which means that we probably didn't get the correct percentages or dosages of each ingredient in each sample that we tested. Does that make sense? Which I think is why they tasted different when we tried them at home to when we tried them there. Because when we were there, he was obviously weighing them out individually and doing it like really properly, whereas we couldn't do that because it was just in a big mixed bag. So yeah, I mean, just to kind of go back a step, how did you find the day in general? Obviously, we got there, we then did a tour of the facility. We sat down with the owner and basically ran through the flavorings they had, the options they had. We smelt them to see which one to start with, and I was so shocked at how strong these flavorings smelt. But then when we tried it, it was like it doesn't like match up. It's really weird.
Yeah.
So yeah, what do you think about the day in general? And then we'll kind of slowly pick through each point.
Yeah. On the way up there, I was so excited that almost when I got there and I met you and obviously your sister who came along, I was almost like tired already. It was really weird because I was so excited for it was a 3.5 hour drive for me. Same for you. So like buzzing as we went in there. Obviously from there, finally like saw this place and stepped foot in it, which was an amazing feeling because it looked like a couple of weeks before we were never even going to do that. And then obviously went up, had a big like factory tour where they showed us everything, like how they manufacture everything, how they source everything, their stock rooms, how they ship it all out, which was really eye-opening. I'm sure you can agree. And we've also got lots of content coming across like our Instagram and TikTok, sort of highlighting that like a behind-the-scenes sort of thing. So that was super insightful, eye-opening. It was actually amazing to see the level of detail they go to ensure that the products are safe, that they keep all allergens apart, all of these sorts of things, it gave us a real sense of trust in the product as well, which was nice. And after that, obviously went up and then finally did like the taste testing bit. And I remember when we were first going to take that swig, I gave it to you to do first. And I was like a bit nervous sitting there. I was like, oh, what's this going to be like? Do you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
So then, yeah, obviously like we were in there for a good few hours. And then after the day, I was just exhausted. I remember driving home, just knackered. And then I was straight editing reels that evening because I was so excited again.
Yeah.
So, yeah, what about you?
To be fair, I think you've now hit it on the head. I can't explain how nerve-wracking it was, like trying these. Obviously, it feels like there's loads of pressure built up on it as well because, like, obviously we're expecting one thing. Obviously, you've got the guys that are developing the formula with you as well, kind of looking like for your reaction and stuff. And we're obviously filming as well to get our reactions. And so it felt like there's a lot of pressure on it and riding on it. And but it's a great experience. I had a great day. I left a bit frustrated, just because so we didn't nail it, and it raised some questions for me, and I don't know about you, about the ingredients that we were going to use. Because, for example, obviously we're using natural flavorings and natural sweeteners, but a lot of brands obviously don't. They use artificial flavorings and all this sort of stuff. So it kind of asked the question of like, is that why? Because it's unachievable to get the desired taste with the natural flavoring. But then you pointed out a really good point a couple of days ago, which is that there are brands out there who only use natural flavorings and can still get a really strong flavor profile. So that gives me hope. But obviously, it's part of the experience. I think, again, I came back and spoke to my family, and they were sort of like, you can't expect to just nail it first time and it'd be perfect, which obviously you just get excited and you get in like a really
best case scenario.
Like optimistic kind of mindset, which I think is good, but also when you don't quite get it, you kind of leave a bit like deflated in a way. So that's kind of I don't know, just the emotions were going up and down because obviously, like when we were there, we thought we'd nailed it, and then we left, and like I say, it's a tiring day. Like I got back, I was knackered, and then the next day tried it, and I was like, "What the fuck?" Like
Mm.
I was like, "It just doesn't taste the same."
Mm.
Which
But do you
probably
know what I think that was? Sorry to cut you off, but obviously, so what they did was all of the way that they run these days is they will make you like your base salt mix. So all of the electrolytes in them, they will collate a big batch of it, and then on the actual R&D day, they'll scoop in the right amount of all of these electrolytes into a bag, and then they'll add the flavoring, the exact correct amount weighed out with the sweetener. When they gave it back to us, they basically lugged the right amount of sweetener for that amount of electrolytes into like a baggie. I've actually got it here. Uh, into one of these, and then they just give it to you like that. But if you can see, the camera's very far away, but say like the salt, it's a different like granulation size to the flavoring. So then when we go to scoop it out ourselves, it's obviously not going to be in the right amount. So you might have just scooped yourself however many grams of just sea salt with no flavoring because the flavoring's in the bottom of the bag. So I think that's got a big part to do with it, which also raises the question of how far off actually are we? Because on the day we didn't think we were far off, but then the next day we thought we were miles off. So
exactly, and I think
yeah,
that's big because if we do, for example, if we do weigh it out and the formula's actually not far off and it's really close, like we thought it was, then obviously our worries aren't concerns aren't really valid. They're kind of made up because obviously the stuff we're trying is different. But then the other side of that is like when we order samples for people to test, because what our idea is we want to order a big batch of samples so we can go out and get people to try it and test it and get other people's opinions. Is that going to be the same case when we do that? Because if it is like that, then we can't really run
can't
samples
test it.
because it's not going to be the same product.
Yeah,
So yeah, I think as a day in a whole, I thought it was really. I mean, it was a relief for me because it feels like it's been so long in the like the process. It feels like we've been waiting on it for ages. So it's kind of a relief just to get it done. But I think that just mixed feelings. I was really excited, and then we had it like wasn't great at the start, and then we got it to a place, and I was like, "This is great." And then we left, and I tried it again, and I was like,
yeah.
"Not there." And then you kind of go up and down, up and down. But I think it's all part of it. It's part of the process, isn't it? Like we've just got to trust the journey, if you will, and keep going.
Yeah. I also, for me, even though the day wasn't like I'll hit it nail on the head first time round, it was a big positive in my eyes because at least we know where we stand with it. Before we literally like had no clue. We like haven't tasted the product. We think we've got this formula where all of the dosages of all the flavorings are correct and all this, and we'd never even tried it. So at least now we actually have a baseline to go up from. And I don't think that we are that far off because, I mean, without going into too much detail about the exact formulations and ingredients that we're using for our electrolyte, like we are creating a daily blend. So our amounts of sodium, etc., aren't going to be as colossal as a super sporty blend because you'll need more, right? So it's not as much salt to mask. So I am under the impression that if we can get a stronger flavoring, I do think I don't see how it can be that hard to mask it because there are other products out there who have achieved.
Yeah.
Granted, they are the sportier ones because that's what the majority of these electrolytes are, but the flavor comes through very strong. Even though there's a lot of like salt, imagine if we minus that salt, had that amount of flavoring in ours, it would be perfect. So it's definitely achievable. We just really need to lean on the kind of technical team within our manufacturer who we've been going back and forward with today to really try and come up with a plan, get them to go back to the flavor houses, really figure out what's possible, and then go into the next R&D day that we do, which is hopefully ASAP, and then try every possible sort of solution, and I'm sure we'll come to one. So, yeah.
Isn't it? Just try all the options and see.
Try the options.
That's it.
Yeah, exactly that. And then, yeah, I think as sort of a whole for R&D, that's like a good summary, actually. So then I guess we've kind of touched on it. Where do we move forward from here? Let's start with getting the sort of like powders right, and then we'll move into like project as a whole.
Yeah, perfect. Well, so like you said before, we've emailed the manufacturers sort of asking for their opinion on options and things, because obviously because we changed manufacturers, we had to. Well, as we have to, but we went forward with the formula that we'd crafted with the other manufacturer, which kind of restricted them in a way of what they could do. But again, we didn't really ask them to do anything. It was kind of more like, this is our formula, let's test it. So they were kind of saying, look, we were fairly restricted in what we can do with it. So this time we've gone like, right, well, if this was like the blueprint, how would you develop it to make it stronger in taste and perform better, if you can make it perform better? And so we're just going to wait and hear back for them. So once they come back with maybe options about which flavorings might be stronger, or they're going to get in contact with the flavor houses to kind of see what our options are in that sense. But there might even be a couple other ingredients that we might use, or other things that might help just kind of add to the flavor. So yeah, in terms of developing the actual product itself, I think that's probably the next one. That is the next step, and that's what's in process now. And then we get back in and we try it again, and we keep going until we're happy with it. That's basically.
Yeah, and I think that leads us on quite nicely to the project as a whole. Obviously, if you're following our socials at the moment, you'll see that pretty much every design decision that we're making, we're trying to leave it up to our audience, because I think that's quite a nice way of doing it, because then you're really building it with the community that will be kind of using and being a part of the project and actually buying the product at the end. So creating something that they actually want. And so what we did was, when we got our first drafts through from our designer of like outer box packaging, she gave us 3 options to go with. Usually Hamish and I would just make this decision ourselves, which obviously plays a part, right? It's got to be something that we like. But then we actually threw it out on our socials on like a little like a poll sort of thing, like option 1, 2, or 3. And it was great. Like, we had a load of responses back. And it was nice because it actually confirmed the design that we like the most, which I guess brushes the ego, but also is good because it means that we're developing something alongside the community that we're trying to build. So that's something that we're going to be doing, well, trying to do a lot more heavily. And that is the point of why we're documenting this whole journey, because then we can really get the buy-in from people and build it around sort of that community, which is fun and nice. So, and it's really exciting as well, because you put the post out and you actually don't know what's going to come back. So you're constantly checking like the Instagram or the TikTok to see what they're saying. So it's good.
Yeah, it's nice to have people actually respond and be interacting with the page and all the posts and things, because like I've been surprised about how many people are commenting and liking and like I say, reacting to the polls and photos, all sorts of things. So I'm getting quite active on our stories as well. Just get the interactions up, because at the end of the day, we're building the product for. We want to have the most say in how it's developed. So it's like you say, it's a way of doing it, and hopefully get some more people on that wait list and all sorts of stuff. So
yeah.
Just talking about wait lists quickly. Obviously, we've had a few organic sign-ups, which is pretty exciting, I think, seeing as like the majority of the ones at the start were obviously friends and family and things, whereas at the minute we're getting the majority now that are just people organically
coming across us.
So that's really exciting.
Yeah, it is.
All of that.
Yeah, it's also very motivating as well, because at the start, I mean, I don't even think we've hit 10 reels, or we haven't across Instagram. We're at 4. We've only put 4 bits of content out. And on TikTok, maybe like 8 or 9. We haven't even hit 10 yet. So it's nice that the content that we're already creating, without the feedback of like analytics and whatnot, is starting to resonate with people. So that's good. And another thing that we're actually finding is the more relatable we make the content, sort of like the more just about us, our personality, and real about the project we make it, there's a direct correlation between that and the engagement. So that's also quite encouraging, to basically just be honest and completely honest, completely transparent about how the project's going, good or bad. Because I think in some ways a lot of people would rather see the bad because it's more realistic, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I would say if we came on here now and we're like, yeah, product's great, we've smashed it, it's going to be
Yeah, yeah.
like, it's just not. Yeah, well, so we want to give a real insight into what it's like because obviously this has had a bit of an impact on, again, timelines of other people. We thought we were going to pick up with our copywriter um, soon, whereas obviously now we know we're going to be spending more time developing the product more before she can start. So it's always about managing people's timelines and expectations and things. But obviously, if we knew it the first time, we would be ready to go. So it's really hard to juggle, I think, or at least plan ahead. Whereas we've kind of, I think we've actually come up with a good way of positioning it to them to sort of make sure their best interest is first.
Yeah. And I think even on like another note, in terms of the socials and stuff, a big worry of mine from the start when we first started posting was I don't want to say one thing and then it not go that way, and then you have to try and defend it or mask it. So that is why I'm a big fan of like the way we're doing it now, where because we've been honest from the start about how everything's going and transparent with it, it means that no matter what happens, we can always push content out there because it doesn't have to be engineered to like a storyline that we've created before we even started posting. So it's that's quite empowering in a way. So we can sort of keep it coming regardless of how good or bad it's going. So yeah, it's really nice actually.
Hopefully
it's
good.
Really nice. Yes, of course. But obviously those obstacles are like inevitable, right? So it's good. And then yeah, I think in terms of other things to sort of mention, I can't think of much else for this week. What do you think?
No, I think that's pretty much it. We've done designs, R&D day, next steps, socials. Yeah, that's pretty much it for this week. As I mentioned before, make sure you're following us on TikTok and Instagram at Drink Regime, and then here on the pod and on YouTube at Building Regime, because we are getting more active with posts both on Instagram and stories and things. We want everyone to be involved in the building process of the brand and the product. So we're going to keep interacting with you guys to try and build it the best we can. And make sure if you're not on the wait list already, sign up because you can be in with a chance to win a year's supply of Regime upon launch. So yeah, I think that's kind of a nice place to wrap it up.
Yeah, I agree. And then in terms of what you can expect from us sort of across socials across the next week is just a lot of content around, yeah, like the factory tour, loads of really insightful stuff there. A lot of content about us actually trying the product and just, yeah, some further sort of insights into how the day actually went. Because I think it is quite interesting, sort of what goes into it. So I think people will be quite surprised about what the day actually consists of.
Yeah. Yeah. Sweet, brother. All right. Yeah, we'll catch you all next week.
Sounds good. See you all soon.
See you later.